There we go. Okay, so we're here. Let me bring in Brian, co-host of the South Sound Connection. Brian Close with All American Restoration Services out of Tacoma, Washington. That's how you say it, right?
Washington. Heavy R in there.
Heavy on the R. I wanted to give a local shout out. This is the beautiful magazine from the very nice people at Great City Magazine. So custom in an age where it's very hard to get stuff in print nowadays. This is episode magazine 10, volume 10. So I don't want to give away too much. You got to buy it for yourself, but really cool. Representing the Grit City, Tacoma, Washington. So there it is. And then also our guest from episode 1, Corbett Mosley, his game is out. Actually, our other podcast, our other one, everyone knows, of course, the DYOJO Podcast. We featured the actual game there from Success Factors. So you can go to TacomaPublishing.com and check that out. Success Factors. If you want a way to have some fun with the fam. Your kids are still a little young, right, Brian?
Yeah.
How old's your oldest?
9.
9. Well, I mean, it's never too early to start the discussion about economics. That's what I always say. I mean, you've heard me say that sometimes.
It's tatted on your arm, isn't it?
Yeah, that's exactly what this means is train in economics early. Yes. So it looks like our first guest is here. Chad, I don't want to say your last name because I don't want to
don't want to mangle the last name.
Let's see. Let's give it Kerlegan.
Good job.
Okay.
Good job. There was no accentuated Kerlegan or Kerlegan. Good job.
Okay. All right. I will pat myself on the back there. So, Chad, I'm sure you and I have interacted quite a bit on social media and those kinds of things. So the DYOJO, the South Sound Connection, hard-hitting questions. This wasn't my question. This was Brian's, but he didn't want to ask it. But so
I'm afraid.
Your show is called Men, Emotions, and Music, MEM Show, right?
That's exactly what it's called. Men, Emotions, and Music, the MEM Show. I was searching for something to call it, and that's kind of the 3 things that I talk about. So I figured, well, we'll just use an acronym and just call it the MEM Show.
So Men and Emotions, you're just trying to make all men sissies, right? That's the goal of the show. Ready? Take it away.
Well, yeah, we'll just start there. That is not the goal. And really, the goal is just conversation. That's the goal. A conversation where dudes or guys, like I'll interview people or whatever, and just to have a conversation about how men handle emotions, and more specifically, tough emotions, right? The emotions that might seem like would sissify a guy.
Yeah, sissies, right? So where did that idea come from? I know you got a 9-to-5. This is just a money grab, right? I mean, you wanted to make even more money. You're already a multi-thousandaire. And, you add stacks on stacks, right? So
right. Yeah, just shaking the tree down some. Actually, so about 5 years ago, I didn't meet with anyone in particular. I was at a trade show, and a representative from the station came by, and he's like, "Yeah, we're community radio, and we're always looking for DJs." And so I asked him then, "Well, what do you do? What do you talk about? Like who does what?" And he's like, "Well, the DJ figures that out." Okay, what kind of music do you want to play? Well, the DJ figures it. Well, can it be talk radio? It can be whatever you want it to be. It's community radio. So that was 5 years ago, and about a year ago, just a little more than a year ago, I ran into the same fella at a farmer's market. And I just kind of asked them again, "Hey, what's this all about? How do you get on the radio? What do you need to do? What kind of training? Just all the stuff, right?" And it was like, "Well, we train you how to use the gear at the station,
Wow.
And we show you how to use a soundboard, and it's live on air when you're doing it, and it's your thing. You're not trying to make the station be something. You're not trying to make the station, be like some other big city station or some other for-profit station, since it's community. So it's geared on the community. And about that time, I just started processing some things and going through some tough stuff, right?
Sure.
Good things are birthed out of tough things. And so that was kind of where I was at about a year ago. And I figured, well, I got some things that I would like to talk about.
Sure.
And I like to invite other guys into the conversation. And that's pretty much how that started. And then I did a training and orientation at the station. They showed me how to use the gear. Pre-recorded 3 shows, and this is January of this year, 2020. So pre-recorded 3 shows to have a few things in case I couldn't make it to the studio. And that's kind of how that like getting into the station started. Being on the air started. It was just an idea. I submitted an application. They said, sure, it's nothing that nothing that was on air currently. And the mix is a little bit different. So mainly there's on KMUZ Radio in Salem, there's a morning news business kind of deal. And then there's a bunch of other DJs just curating their own content, their own songs, their own playlists, saying what they want to say. And there's some other variety shows in there too, like history of local Salem. And then there's some eclectic stuff, like different psychedelic. Like there's a psychedelic show on there where the guy just like he's looking for all of this obscure type music, and it's actually pretty cool to hear the stuff that isn't necessarily mainstream and have somebody else bring it to you with a little bit of history.
Yeah, that's wild. So, do you have to pay to be on community radio, or just?
No. The station is supported by block grants or community grants or listeners. It's all volunteer run and supported. There are no paid people at the station.
Gotcha. Okay.
Are you on every day?
Money. Yeah, we don't have advertisers, but we do have show underwriters, which is, hey, this show is sponsored by such and such company.
Are you on every day?
Tuesdays at 7.
Tuesday
night at 7 to 8 p.m. It was a 9:00 show, and then I got bumped up to 7 only because a couple of people dropped out and with the whole COVID thing. And producing from home, that's where I'm at today. It's different because it requires more time.
Yeah.
And I got to edit, and I got to pull some stuff out, and I got to put the intro in and try to say a few things throughout. Hey, it's time for a show break, and but in the meantime, we've got a song queued up by so and so, and whereas at the station, it's a 1 hour, right? So I go for about 55 minutes at the station, and it's live, so you're just going, and you're not trying to figure stuff. I mean, you're figuring things out, and you're figuring switches and doing all this kind of stuff, but it's live, and you record it, and it's done. Well, at home, you record it, you download it from somewhere, you pull out some of the stuff that that's just more white noise than anything else, and you insert some songs in there.
What have there been? So obviously you set out to kind of, you want to tackle conversations that maybe some men are uncomfortable having.
Yeah.
Has there been ones that stood out that really kind of brought something out where you're thinking, man, that was something I didn't even expect, or a real nugget?
Man, I don't know if they're nuggets, but they're interesting to hear how other guys describe experiences.
Sure.
And some of the guys I've had on the show, they're trying to be a show guy, maybe a little bit. They're trying to say the right things, and I'm not necessarily looking for somebody to say the right thing. What I'm looking for are people to say where they're at, right? Yeah. Like, what are they experiencing, right? So it's not an opinionated show where we're talking in the ether about how guys deal with emotions, like how some other guy deals with emotion. What I want to know is, how are you dealing with emotions, right? Yep. That makes more sense to me. And even when I'm learning in the conversation, I can kind of gauge if it's more of a polished answer, because I'm not looking for polish. And so I'll camp out a little bit more, then I'll ask a few more questions, and as a part of that learning and list, it's really helped me be a little better listener and like pick up some nuances in the conversation. like, oh, my dad, X, Y, and Z. Oh, okay. Well, hey, tell me a little bit more about that. And how has that formed your growing years, or did it form your growing years?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's kind of how that goes. It's interesting. I mean, I think I've got like 15 shows. I've missed a few throughout the year, but I got like 15 or 20 shows recorded, and I'll wait till I get to like 45 or so. That way I can actually start producing some additional content with it and putting some other stuff out there with it.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely the year for new challenges, right?
You might have seen all the memes this year where, hey, for 2020, you should learn a new skill, learn a new this. Well, I was already doing that in January, so it wasn't because of March. I'm now trying to do something. But I'm learning how to be a little more efficient with my production at home, which is really a time saver. And I'm learning just, there's a lot of guys that are experiencing some of the same things, right?
Yeah.
I did have a conversation with a guy from Texas, and man, he's like the stud guy's guy. He's a construction site superintendent, and he had these super great role models growing up, like, his dad and his uncles and his grandpa. They're all, wartime veterans and doing amazing things. And I think his dad's a fighter pilot. Like, holy crap, that man. And so he's had like all of these really big dudes in his life that were like paving some of the path for him. And then we talked about on his construction site, how do the guys handle the gals that are working on the construction site? Are they doing the cat calls, and what's his response on being a man and what that looks like? And it was good. It was good. Some of the things you would assume, okay, yeah, that's how it should be. Yeah. But I think in the assumption, we missed the actual practice of doing those things. Like, hey, calling something, bringing to light something that maybe isn't appropriate in certain settings, right? Yeah. Like, hey, you made that comment about that girl, that person in front of a number of people. Was that beneficial for those people listening? Is that beneficial for your relationship? Yeah. So I take lots of notes on that kind of stuff and just jot stuff down, and maybe I'll come up with 10 pages, a little workbook or something out of that. But the goal is not the workbook. The goal is not to produce other things. The goal is conversation, genuine conversation between dudes. Like if we were maybe drinking beer or whiskey or coffee.
Yeah. Well, and I watched a couple of them. You've got clips on your YouTube. So obviously listen live would be Tuesdays at 7 p.m. We've got the website there at the bottom of the screen. How else can people get a hold of the content if they're not listening live?
So I sent the link out. So I use WeTransfer to send a program to the station.
Okay.
So it's just it's a file sharing thing. I have not set up either like a podcast system or hosting device or hosting platform at this time. Yeah. So I think what'll happen is once I've got 30 or 40 shows recorded, then I'll upload all of them at the same time to one platform.
Does that content, once you're done, does that then belong to the station, or does that belong to you?
No, it's mine.
It's yours.
Yeah, it's my content. The station, they host it, they hold it. I mean, they have it on their servers because they need content, but I own the content.
Well, let's see, when COVID hit, I started doing a series of videos. It was like 3 questions with a pro, and it was we're in the same industry and property restoration. And so I reached out to a friend, Jarrett Steer. He's actually up in Kirkland here. He does the GMS podcast. So I just asked him what platform he's using, and he's using Anchor. And so if you record the video, Anchor, the format that we record in, I'm not super technically savvy, but I can just upload it as the video is on YouTube, and then it'll extract the audio out of the video and upload it to Anchor, which feeds Apple, Spotify, and I think like Google. Oh. So if you've got the content, it's actually fairly simple to distribute it to multiple platforms. So
on Anchor, okay, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, I can send you the link, or if you want to set up a call, I can share you what little I know. So
that'd be great. What I've been doing recently is using Zoom. That's kind of the thing. record and to bring down information. And so that's just what I've been using, but I'm always open to something that's a little more simplified or.
Well, the podcast episodes that are edited, we use Zoom. We've just started using this StreamYard to try to mess around with live, but I can download it and exactly the same thing.
Okay.
Upload the video to YouTube, and then Anchor will extract the audio. So
yeah. So I mean, since we're on now, how do you guys handle tough emotions?
Just pack them down.
Totally. That's why did you say that? Because my first two pre-recorded episodes, I had a friend in the studio and we're just kind of chopping it up, and so we talked about like the 3 unhealthy ways men handle emotions, and not that this is some scientific, well-studied whatever. Sure. It's just some things that I thought made sense. That made sense to me. And it was denial. Right? Yeah. Hey, I ain't feeling that way. I ain't crying. I ain't crying. So we deny. We distract ourselves. I got a problem. I got to just focus on work, right?
Yeah.
And then we distance ourselves from the problem. So we deny, we distract ourselves, and then we distance ourselves. And none of those are healthy.
Yeah.
Even right from the start, deny. Well, if we're denying we're feeling some type of way, then we're denying kind of the makeup of who we are just as dudes, right?
Yeah.
Like, man, I'm feeling like I'm hurt.
Yeah.
Right? Who says that?
Yeah.
You'll never hear it. I mean, you might hear a couple of guys like
John does.
There you go. So we push it off to somebody else. There you go.
Yeah, I think prior to COVID, I was playing soccer. That helps get some of your energy out, and sometimes little scuffles or whatnot. So that's been tough, not having that outlet. So
yeah, and I mean, I run quite a bit. But yeah. I made a conscious decision to not use running as a distraction or something else. I've used running as, hey, this is my time for me to connect with myself and who I am and kind of do my thing and zone out for a minute. And I listen to certain things, music or whatever sometimes. And but the idea of, so like the unhealthy thing, right? Hey, we deny. We're denying we're feeling this kind of way. Like we're denying we're embarrassed or we're insecure about something. Well, that doesn't help us develop some tools and skill sets to go beyond that feeling of denial, right? Mm-hmm. So that was one of the things. And then in the follow-up episode, we talked about acknowledging. Hey, if you're going to deny this emotion, okay, maybe the healthy thing is just to acknowledge it, because now you take away the power of the emotion to control you, right?
Sure.
Hey, yeah, I am feeling this way. And I say that from my own personal experience. I mean, my ability to deny a feeling wasn't like, oh, I'm not feeling that way. I just didn't talk about it.
Yeah.
And I maybe I didn't know how to talk about them that way, or talk about them in a way where I didn't feel like I was being a sissy.
Yeah.
Right? Where I was just kind of processing. And over time, it's been a little bit easier to do that. And the first step is just acknowledging, man, I feel hurt.
Yeah.
Okay, well, why do you feel hurt?
Yeah, yeah.
And you can start walking some of these things through. And at the end of that walk, you're like, okay, I'm sensing some resolve and a little bit of self-empowerment, which, the word empowerment, that's usually towards the ladies, right? Towards gals, hey, you got to empower yourself. And man, once I was like, okay, I acknowledge this thing, man, I felt like, okay, now I can conquer some things.
Yeah.
And that's a part of me, and I can conquer this thing. And I'm kind of rambling, but that's
no, it's true. I mean, it's not typically something that you want to talk about, right? Or acknowledge. So
want to, or how to, or who? Yeah. How do I talk about this, and who do I talk about this kind of stuff to?
Yeah. Well, that's probably the other part. If you talk to somebody and then they poo-poo you, or guys like to say girls are gossips, but guys can be just as much gossips as other people. So
sure. Right. Yeah, exactly. If you're talking about some tough stuff, who do you talk to in a way where you can kind of be free? And that's probably why seeing a therapist is probably not a bad idea.
Yeah.
They don't care what you say. I mean, maybe they do to a degree if you're like, self-inflicting wounds or something, but you can be unfiltered and you're not having to, put all this, sparkle and shine on what you want, how you want to say something versus what you want to say.
Well, awesome, man. Well, we've got another guest coming on. Did you want to stay on, or do you need to jump off?
No, I can. I mean, if it's not a bother to you guys, I can stay on and participate or be a fly on the wall or whatever. I'm here now and I'm kind of set up and sure.
Okay. Well, we'll have to do a follow-up show. Definitely talk more on the topic. But let me bring Meg in. Here we go. Hi, Meg.
Hi.
How are you today?
Good. How are you?
It looks like the typical business owner, right? You got to multitask.
It's my pantry right now.
I'm sorry. Say again.
What's that?
What did you say?
Oh, I said I'm in my pantry right now.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Meg is with Single Speed Screen Printing. They've printed our DYOJO podcast shirts from day one.
Nice.
And you're in Grande, Oregon, right?
Yes.
The town named after a Starbucks drink, correct?
I wouldn't know, honestly.
Oh, you didn't know it's owned by Starbucks? You guys are all you're corporate, so you may not have known that, but you're corporate. So, so how has it been? I know when the first wave of shutdowns hit, you guys had the original. What was it? There's a Sasquatch with the original social distancing, right? Was a shirt you all produced. How has all of this ups and down affected your business?
We lost some huge accounts because we do, well, just temporarily. We lost some big business with events and stuff, school events, sports. We print a lot for Narcotics Anonymous. They have a lot of events that got canceled. We print all the way up into Seattle for them. So business definitely slowed down, but right now we are running the shop in our basement. So it has economically, while other businesses have really shuttered, we have just been fine because right now we're a home-based business.
Adapt to it.
Been able to adapt. That's good.
Yeah, and we don't have the expense of paying rent, and it's business still trickled in. We definitely won't make as much this year, but we aren't struggling to pay the bills. So this is a side business. So
you also do a lot of family reunions and that kind of thing, right?
Yeah. Yep. A lot of family reunions.
Yeah. So that's obviously been impacted by, depending on where you live, I suppose. Well, that's awesome. So how long have you all been doing the single speed?
3 years. It started out just as kind of a joke. We were making some Sasquatch shirts on our table, and then suddenly people needed shirts. And we were at a Christmas party, and this guy said, "Well, I need 200 shirts." He was the city recreation director. And he's like, "I need them in April." And this was in December. And so we're like, "Yeah, no problem." And then we had to figure out. And at that point, we were just doing it on our kitchen table. And so we realized that we could make a go of it and went and bought, there was a shop in Bend, Oregon that was selling all their stuff. So we bought their equipment and everything, and had a lot of late nights figuring it all out.
Yeah. How to mass produce something. So you said that was a city recreation manager from Grande, Oregon?
Grande, yeah.
Grande. Look, it's Grande. You've been pronouncing it wrong your whole life. So
have I? It's French, not Spanish.
Yeah. Well, we're all about dispelling rumors and setting the record straight. And so now you're owned by Starbucks and you've been saying it wrong. So
yeah, thank you for setting that straight.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, anything else people should know about single speed? I don't know why all the S's. I think
we people often ask about the name, and we
Yeah.
really like bikes, and so that's where it came from. If you see our logo, it makes sense. But and we didn't expect our business to grow as much as it had. Otherwise, maybe we would have chosen a different name. But,
like dual speed.
yeah, maybe. But you know what we realized is our name isn't limiting, because if we had gone with something local, like we live in the Blue Mountains, it would limit us to our area. But there's pros and cons. But one benefit, well, I don't know if I'd say the benefit. One thing, we reach out a lot to the community. We donate a lot, whether sponsoring events or just giving discounts where we can, donating to school events, stuff like that. With so many, for example, every year we donate to, it's called the Drug Free Run in La Grande. And this year, in the past, they've paid for their shirts. We've given them a discount in exchange for a sponsorship. But this year they did a virtual run, and to help out, we said, fine, we will just donate the shirts.
Wow.
Before they had a really kind of a high quality running shirt, and we said, if we just go with the basic 50-50 shirt, we will donate them. And then we included another business in town called Community Merchants. They sell a lot of local stuff. And so I just took the shirts to Community Merchants, and whoever did the run would go there and pick up their free shirt. And then that brought in more people to Community Merchants.
Yeah.
So that was.
Have you guys ever considered expanding the type of screen printing and logos and everything you guys do?
Just a minute, sweetie. When
like
you
doing
say
maybe
expand,
like vehicle wraps or like any other types of printing?
Right now I've got 3 little kids, 10, 7, and 4, and it's just
get rid of them.
When our youngest is in school, we can consider that. When my husband works full time, and so it's right now this is what I can manage.
Yeah, you're good where you're at.
Yeah.
Got to control the bandwidth, right?
Yeah.
Well,
we've always appreciated, these are the DYOJO on the canvas shirt. So, and that's that South Sound connection. We've been trying to find the right yellow. So you've been super helpful in saying, well, these people, and we wanted short sleeve and long sleeve. So that's been, apparently it's yellow is a tricky color. So thank you.
Yes, it really is.
So looking forward to seeing those when those come in. So, well, thank you so much, Meg. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Let's see. Okay, there we go. All right, Chad. Any closing thoughts for the audience?
Yeah. Well, man, thanks for just breaking off some time out of your podcast and having me participate. The conversation, I think, for men the conversation of how men deal with emotions, I think it's an important one, especially now.
Yeah. Because
our emotions impact every area of our life, right? And the way we respond to our emotions and how we process and either we control our emotions or they control us. And so I'm on the side of developing personal skills to understand, acknowledge, and control my emotions, and then also have complete control of the output of my response to them. So that's kind of my closing thought for today, I guess.
Well, man, I would, if I can help in any way, I would encourage you to get it out, because I think shows like yours, maybe people not necessarily want to talk about it, but you can listen to it and glean something from it, right? And maybe that'll encourage people to have those conversations. So
yes, sir.
I'm assuming, what is it? Like iHeartRadio, there's other tools you can use where you can listen to local radio shows from another area, right?
Yeah, you can do like Radio Free America. There's a bunch of different things you can find. Community, radio, and they're super unique because the people are unique, right? And they're not trying to fit a particular commercial mold that they can sell a service or sell a product. Even the music that they play, that they choose to play, it gives a good insight into the local area, and you'll probably hear some stuff that you wouldn't normally hear. it's commercially produced. And I think platforms like yours and the tools available for people to communicate things that are important to them, right? And then finding a community that kind of resonate with that message. I'm finding extreme value in just doing it from this side of the table.
Yeah.
And I think other people would too. So yeah,
Well,
thanks for having me on.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us, Chad. And we'll get this posted up and then point people your direction. So
Appreciate it, John. You guys have a good day.
You too, man. Okay, Brian, any closing thoughts or how you feeling? Oh. What happened to the sound? Hello? The heck? Can't unmute your guest. Their mic isn't connected. How did you're not even using a microphone, are you? Okay, move your mouth and then I'll do your words. There we go. Are you back?
Hello?
Oh.
You got me?
Whew.
Okay.
Lost your voice.
Maybe we should do a t-shirt company that isn't in Blazers territory trying to find the Sonics color. Maybe
Yeah. We're like, ew, these colors are
maybe we should change it to red and black, maybe.
Oh man, just rub salt in the wound, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But the Kraken are coming back, so they're
Kraken are coming. And hopefully the Sonics move.
What are they renaming Key Arena? It's
What is it?
Pledge or Ozone Pledge.
Oh no, Climate Pledge Arena.
Yeah. Jeff.
And did you see CenturyLink just got renamed to Lumen Field?
Yeah, that's
weird.
That's just the numbers, right? Just somebody else paying for it. But
Bezos wanted to have that daily reminder about the climate.
Yeah.
So he bought the rights, and instead of it being Amazon Arena or something like that, it's.
You see his wife or his ex-wife, I guess, gave $4 billion to like COVID relief and research or something like that.
Well, didn't she? Once they got divorced, didn't she become in the top 20 richest people in the world?
I think it was top 10, man.
The top 10.
Yeah. So he's finding ways to avoid paying taxes, and she's just giving the money away.
Must be nice.
Yeah. Well, kudos, man. I mean, that's pretty neat. So,
yep.
All right. Any other closing thoughts for the crowd, for the millions watching?
The millions? No.
Well, thank you, All American, Tacoma, Washington, for supporting the show. And I'm going to play the outro now. I'm getting pretty fancy now. Here's the outro.
I know. There's some nice edits.
Well, I would say thank you for listening, but really what I should be saying is you're welcome for having this to listen to.
Thank you. You love me. You really love me.
So what is South Sound Connection? Our goal is to highlight local businesses, entrepreneurs, and community efforts for doing good in the Pacific Northwest, the PNW, and beyond. So thank you. I will say it. Thank you for listening. This is brought to you by the DYOJO Podcast, which is the premier podcast for the skilled trades.
Could you turn that down just a little bit? But I was told that I could listen to the radio at a reasonable volume from 9 to 11.
Yeah, I know you're allowed to.
And All American Restoration Services out of Tacoma, Washington. They are a general contractor specializing in repairs after water and fire damages.
Hey, it's happening! Everybody stay calm! What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure? Stay calm! Wait! Everybody calm down!
Working with you and your insurance company to produce a positive outcome. You can listen to this, watch this every Tuesday, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on the DYOJO YouTube. That's YouTube.com/the DYOJO. If you want to know more, keep up with past episodes, those kinds of things, the DYOJO, that's DYOJO.com/SSC, South Sound Connection Live. Thank you. Good night.
I can't believe we drove around all day and there's not a single job in this town. There's nothing, nada, zip.
Yeah, unless you want to work 40 hours a week.